What's up, guys? I'm BTC, a brand new patch for Overwatch today, a whole bunch of buffs and nerfs. Some of these are kind of interesting changes. All of these are going to be affecting the experimental mode, which means that they're not going to be in quick player competitive at all for probably about a week or so. And I think probably most of these will end up going through. Maybe some of them don't, but for the most part, I think most of these will end up going through. So let's go and take a quick look at them. First up is going to be Doomfist, who got an interesting change to his ultimate. They buffed the Meteor Strike. Actually, they kind of buffed all of the abilities, sort of. What they did was, during the ultimate, it will now speed up the cooldown rate of his other abilities by 100% while he's in the air. So let me quickly show you. Use a bunch of his abilities, then Meteor Strike, and you notice how incredibly fast those other abilities will cool down. And the reason for that is so that immediately after using your Meteor Strike, you'll be able to follow up with a bunch of your other abilities. Because a lot of times you would use your abilities, then Meteor Strike, and if you tried to re-engage with the enemy, then you would just kind of sit there. And the only thing you could really do is just hold left click a couple of times, and that was it, because all of your other abilities were on cooldown. So what we were seeing a lot of times was that you would use your ultimate and then just kind of escape with it, because you didn't have the cooldowns available to re-engage. So that's what this change is going to do. So it's pretty neat, and it should definitely help Doomfist quite a bit. Next up is Genji, who's getting a buff and a nerf. Both of these have to do with something called breakpoint damage, which is basically the number of attacks it takes to get an elimination on someone. So for the primary attacks, we're talking both the left click and the right click here, both versions of it. The damage was increased from 28 up to 29 per. And then also for the ultimate, the damage was reduced from 120 per slash down to 110 per slash. So this is obviously not going to have any impact on most of the characters in the game, because they only have 200, which means that you're only going to need 2 hits for them anyways. But there are a couple of enemies with higher health that are going to need that one extra hit or an extra dash or something in order to get that elimination beyond just the swings that you would normally have for the ultimate. Next up is Moira, who's getting a buff to her self-heal. So, first of all, something that a lot of people don't understand about how Moira's lifesteal works. It's different from someone like Reaper, for example, because where he gets lifesteal health back based on how much damage he's doing, so if you damage boost him or nano boost him or something, he's going to get more lifesteal because he's doing more damage. With Moira, it's not like that. With Moira, it's a fixed amount of healing that you get no matter what. Even if you're hitting an enemy like Orisa that has resistance on and you're only doing half damage, you will still get the full healing. And what they did was they changed it from 20 up to 24. I believe it used to be even higher. Maybe at one point it was 30 or 35, something like that. So they've lowered it, and now they're bringing it back up a little bit, but that's what's going to happen. So now you will get 24 healing per second as opposed to the 20 healing that you used to get. Next up is Roadhog, who's getting a buff that I've been asking for years, and that is he will now passively grant 25% less ultimate charge to enemies. So whenever an enemy attacks him, they're going to get 25% less ult charge on Roadhog. This is something similar to what they're going to be doing with Overwatch 2, except in that every character in the tank role is going to give 50% less. And right now, Roadhog is only giving 25% less. So let me just show you here. I've got 10%. It goes up to 17% right there. And then once this hits 20, we'll give this a try. But basically, you're going to just give a little bit less ultimate charge with Roadhog now. So now it's 5% instead of the 7%. So a little bit less ult charge whenever Roadhog gets attacked. Now, question, is this going to carry over into Overwatch 2? Probably not. They're probably going to get rid of this. I mean, I expect that they're going to make more changes to Roadhog for Overwatch 2 anyways. And one of those things is probably getting rid of this, because I kind of doubt that they're going to allow Roadhog to give 75% less ult charge. That would basically be ridiculous. You would get no ult charge at all, really, from attacking the Roadhog. So I don't think that they're going to do that. I would be very surprised if they do. For right now, though, until Overwatch 2, Roadhog will give at least a little bit less of that ult charge. Next up is Soldier 76, who's getting a buff and a nerf. So for the buff, his damage is going from 19 per attack up to 20 per attack. So very small increase, but considering how fast he can attack, that 1 extra damage does add up. And of course, if you're getting criticals, you're going to be doing 2 extra damage instead of just that 1. So that does help. However, he is also getting a nerf with the Biotic Field, where the healing is being reduced from 40 down to 35. So a bit less on the healing for that. I don't really know if this is going to change anything for Soldier 76. It probably won't. I mean, he's considered to be not really a great character right now, and with all of the nerfs that we just got to the fall-off damage for the hit scan attacks, he's even worse than before. So I don't really know if this is going to change anything. One of the issues was with Pharah being so strong now, and I think that they're trying to make it so that maybe Soldier 76 is going to be a little bit better against that, but I just don't really see it. Next up is Hammond, who is getting a whole bunch of changes. The first thing I want you to pay attention to is the grappling claw on the bottom right. Ready? You see it immediately begins on cooldown, and that's the first change they made, is anytime you pick Hammond, you swap to the character, or you respawn, then your grappling claw will automatically be put on cooldown. And the reason for this is very simple. Because Hammond is such a strong stall character, they just don't want you to be able to swap to Hammond and then immediately go right out of the spawn room and go right back to contesting the point or the cart or whatever like that. So they want to give a little bit more of a delay, which is why the hook is on cooldown whenever you respawn or you swap to the character. The other change is with the adaptive shield. Currently, on the live version of the game, it has a 0.2 second kind of cast time, and it's a very, very slight delay, but they've reduced that down to 0 seconds, so now it will instantly take effect. And they've also increased the duration from 7 seconds up to 9 seconds, so that's a pretty significant change. Now, another thing that they've done is with the ultimate. So normally, whenever you'd use the ultimate near walls, a lot of them would kind of get stuck on the walls, but now they've changed it so that they all fall right down to the ground. It doesn't matter where you are. Now, in some cases, this might be considered a nerf because maybe you wanted them to kind of stick on the walls in some areas and something like that. But in the vast majority of cases, I think this is going to be beneficial to have all of them fall to the ground because that's where most of the players are going to be. So now, using the ultimate, you'll reliably be able to cover the ground in whatever area you were, and you don't have to worry about them getting stuck, halfway up. Especially considering, in, some cases, you may be way up in the air and you activate your ultimate, and then, like, a bunch of them get stuck up on the walls up there, and it obviously doesn't do anything while it's up there. So now all of them will fall down. So those are all the changes for this experimental mode. I expect that most of, if not all of them, will probably get pushed live in about a week or so. What do you guys think about these changes? Let me know down below. A big thanks to all the Paragons and other channel members for all your support. If you'd like to become one and grab some cool rewards, click the join button down below. And remember, always, always blame the controller because it's never your fault.